My name's Carla. I'm a clinical educator at Doncaster and Bassett Law Hospitals, and my PNA fits within my role while I'm supporting the preceptees for their first year of training. So we can sort of arrange chats with them if they're struggling with things, or a lot of my role at the moment is helping with the QI projects. So I started my training in November 21 and finished it in June 2022 with the University of Sheffield. And when I first did my training, I was actually working in intensive care. So a big thing at that time was obviously a lot of burnout with staff, and staff being emotionally overwhelmed and everything. So I wanted to do the course to learn a bit more about supporting those staff with that. And even though my role's changed now, obviously that still continues and still learning as well. How I support people, or how I feel I've supported people in my role, is I've took a focus on the QI part of the AEQUIP model. So in the beginning, it was a lot of the RCS component of it. And with that being a bit new to me, I was a little bit sort of more nervous about that side and didn't have a lot of involvement, and felt actually as a team we sort of discussed things quite well together. So there was probably a little bit of mini RCS sessions. So I decided, because I was interested in QI, if I could focus solely on QI. So I did that one instead. So I've helped a few people out with QI projects, not just the projects themselves, but the emotional side of it, how they get frustrated, and then the challenges involved in QI. So it originally came about because I was talking to our PNA lead in our trust, who's amazing. And I was saying, oh, I've, been talking to staff. It stemmed because I was involved in a QI project first. And I says, in our trust, we're supposed to register the project. So like the trust QI team can help you. But nobody was really aware of that side of it. So the project that I was involved in, I sort of disseminated that information first, and nobody else had an idea that we had to do that. And then from this, I'd be saying, oh, other staff members have come to me and said they've identified a point in their own learning. They've thought of a solution for it, but they feel like certain staff sort of might be putting up a bit of a barrier. So we broke that down a little bit and said change is always sort of one of those things in the NHS it's needed, but some people can be resistant to it, and it does get a bit frustrating, and you do feel like you want to give up. It's much easier just be like, oh, we'll not change anything. But as like sort of said, what could we do about that? How have you approached the subject? Have you got the experts involved? And they had. So I was just like, use that learning moment then and spread that. And you tend to find if you aim it at certain people will get on board first, and then everybody else starts thinking, oh, actually, that's a really good idea. And then your change is gradual. It's not just, I think everybody expects it's overnight, but it's not. So it then identifies their own frustrations, their own feelings around it without them sort of realizing that they've delved into that too much. And then obviously at the end, we hope to change something as well. The challenges that I faced, I would probably say, other than time in the beginning, which we're getting better at now, is others not understanding the role. The first introduction of it, when we were saying this is what we're going to do, people are like, well, what's that? Spreading the word, people feeling like you might be sort of mixing a role and stuff like this, and maybe overstepping slightly. It's just sort of getting everybody to understand what it is and what we do. So spreading the word really, and overcoming that. We've had a lot of information days. Me personally wouldn't have got through it all without our lead. So using obviously your community that you build, things like this, talking to other PNAs or PMAs that we had to sort of link with first. Yeah, we obviously all had our own little community as well, and all got through that together as well. So what I've enjoyed most about the role is the learning side of it, really. I've sort of learned to identify my own emotions more and to share them as well. So I think sometimes we're easy at recognizing them, but not so much for reaching out and talking to others about it. And I think it's important to sort of model it first to be able to support others as well. So I've really enjoyed the learning curve that I've had throughout it. If you're going through it or you're thinking about doing it, is you probably do PNA more than you actually realize already. We're all about supporting each other in this in any way. It sort of like embeds that learning and the community that you have to support each other through it and to support everybody else as well. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. We was always taught that in the beginning, and I really think it embeds that way really well.